Hello. Have you ever been standing in line at the grocery store, or maybe the airport, and suddenly someone just completely irritates you? Or the flip side, you meet someone who's overflowing with joy and kindness, and you think, wow, I wish I was more like that. What if I told you that both of these people, the annoying ones and the inspiring ones, are actually mirrors of you? Today, we're going to talk about how the world reflects back our shadows and our light, and how to use those reflections for healing, clarity, and most importantly, for growth. So, if you're just live, joining us live, drop a comment, do something, eyeballs or something that you've had a mirror moment and you can relate that. I really love to hear your story. And this topic is so intriguing. My friend Andy is joining us today to join in with this topic of what we see in others. And that's the part that we need to work on in ourselves. And kind of we'll break it down. What do you think about this, Andy? Oops.
I think it is an amazing topic on, there's just so much going on in the world. And, there's a lot of people that are very unhappy, right? And depending on whose energy you're channeling, if you're channeling negative energy, you're going to be unhappy. But if you're a happy person like us, we can pass on some of this happiness, some of this positive energy to others, which can uplift them too. So I think it's an amazing topic you have today.
Thanks. So, and I just keep looking back at, where do all these concepts come from and all of those things. And I look back, I love the work of Dr. David Hawkins. A lot of his work reflects that of Carl Jung. Carl Jung first talked about the shadow in his book, The Psychology of Unconsciousness, in 1912.
Wow.
And I think that a lot of times we talk about shadow work and this and that, and it has such a flair of woo. But I just want to bring it back to these are some basic tenets in psychology, which is where my degree is. And I think that it's interesting that when I was in college and going through the courses and earning my degree, that these things didn't really stick. And I look at how much of my work and my careers have gone down this path. I mean, especially with the Float Center. The Float Center is pulling the unconsciousness out and how much we're identifying how much the separation of the mind and the unconsciousness. And the float center is based on Dr. Lily's work that goes back to the 50s. Young finally had his final say and final definition in 1945 that the shadow is the thing a person has no wish to be. And
Mm.
so I think that our shadow work is what we're talking about. Or the shadow is the thing that gets triggered inside us. The stuff that gets under our skin and it irritates you or frustrates you, and it just really activates your nervous system. So when you're feeling triggered, and I think that word is so overused. Gosh, I have so many opinions today. um, but when you're feeling triggered about something, I think this is when you stop and pause. You know,
Mm.
what am I really reacting to? What is it here that I'm feeling? What about that behavior that I'm judging in someone else am I suppressing in myself? What wound is this touching? Where is it hitting me? And one of those things that usually I find myself commenting on and having some ADD tendencies. Well, yeah, there's actually that diagnosis somewhere in the record. But I look at it's usually behavior. It's the behavior of the people in the line in front of me that
Mhm.
and I look at it, it's like, I know better than that. I would love to have that freedom. And so sometimes I think it's almost a jealousy of, well, I'm not allowed to act that way. I can't do this. And so, kind of looking at that and looking at when folks have clothing, they dress in a way that, man, I'd love to pull that off. But what value is it? What limitation is it that I have that doesn't allow me to do that? And where does that come from? A lot of times this comes from some childhood conditioning.
Mhm, mhm,
I think back, my stepmother had very clear ideas in how you dressed. Shirt tails were always tucked in. If there were belt loops, you had to have a belt. There were no graphics on your t-shirts. There were all of these things and these ideas. So this is where I get the idea of, man, I'd love to be able to pull that outfit off, and I don't. Um, a lot of times we have unspoken needs or boundaries, and these were also things that we were taught to
mhm.
reject. So those are the things that we need to unwrite that history. We need to erase those tapes that play over and over in our head. The thing that bothers you in them is part of you that you need to heal. And for me, um, I make a point of never tucking my shirt tails in. And to do it because this is how I choose to express myself, not just as a rebellion. How does that sit, Andy? Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I think, like you said, so many of us believe we can't do something, we don't deserve something, and it's these mindsets that's passed on to us from someone else,
Mhm.
right? And then and like you said, sometimes it sucks. You see someone wearing something really nice, and wow, that's like I could never afford that, or like wow, that person looks great in a suit. If I only had those shoulders and that chest to to lift up, right? You know what I'm saying?
I'll loan
But
you my shoulder pads from the '80s. You'll have those shoulders. 'Cause I do have broad shoulders, so I was always pulling the shoulder pads out of everything.
But it is so true, those limiting beliefs aren't yours, they were passed down to you, and
Mhm,
I think once you, um, take those beliefs out of your head, it just allows you to grow, right? And
mhm.
there's just like you said, there's so much for us that we can inspire others to grow too, I love it, I love where you're going at, I'm just gonna give it back to you. But no, I think it's amazing. It's amazing. It's a great topic, and a lot of people really need this right now.
Yeah, and I know we talk a lot about doing your shadow work,
Mhm.
and actually, our shadow is the repressed part of us, and we keep squishing it down because for some reason we believe it's not okay. But a lot of that not okayness, I mean, especially with myself as an intuitive, let's turn that intuition loose. That is amazing. It's great skills and things, and a lot of things that we repress because we were told it's not okay or whatever. Those are our gifts. Those are
Mhm.
the things that make us who we are, and we're shoving them down. And
Right.
then there's the other side of those shadows, and people who are really intrigued in oh, crime shows and horror flicks or whatever. That's another part of our shadow that we don't feel comfortable expressing or talking about. So we sublimate that and we watch it in a TV show, and that cures that desire there, if you will. So, but the opposite of our shadow is our light work
Mhm.
that, you know, just as we project our shadows onto others, we see what they're doing that we don't like. We also project the light. So when you're feeling inspired or drawn to somebody's energy that we're in awe of their joy, that's also your mirror. So it shows you the things that are possible for you. Like you said, when people are wearing and pulling off a suit really awesome, when you meet those people that are just like, wow, they're so positive. Can I spend more time with them? Where do I sign up? I just want to be around that. And so that's something that you carry because you admire it. So you have a respect for it, but you just haven't fully embodied it.
Mhm.
And so, not that you want to copy them and mimic them, but you definitely want to take notes. What are the parts that are intriguing to you? What are the parts you want to be more? And that's the version of yourself that's calling you forward, saying, keep growing, keep
Mhm.
going in this, so that the light you see in others lives in you too. You just haven't claimed it yet. And so being able to claim that light is really important. Do you see some examples of that, Andy? People that you're like, oh, I want to be more like them.
It's funny because as you're talking about this, I was just sort of reflecting back. Me and Minna went to LA for a trip for a business conference on LifeWave. And, going through security at the airport is never pleasant. Right. We got our TSA, but me and Min are very bubbly people, right? But like the security guards, like the people that check your ID and before you go through, the whole conveyor belt and everything, they're trained to be hard asses, let's put it that way, right? And then a lot of people will complain to them. So they got to have the worst job in the world, to be honest, right? Like literally the worst job. Right. And like me, Min is on TSA, right? And then like she's saying, family and children can come together, right? And right away, I don't have kids, right? So when Minna walks up, I walk right beside her, right? And she said, family and children together. And I said, right, and then when I walk forward, he says, oh, you didn't hear me? I said, well, I'm the child in the family. I don't have kids in the family. Right away, she cracked up. Like, she just started laughing. He said, holy shit, you just made my day, right? Because it's like, everyone's always just so mad, and you just lighten my day. And this is like 5:30 in the morning, and she said I made her day, right? So it's like, it's sort of like what you said, passing the light energy, because like, she was absorbing all this negative energy,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
There's
And then
yeah.
like as soon as I just said, well, here's some of my light, and she just lit right up. It's like, I'm definitely not a kid, right? You know what I'm saying? But so I totally relate with that, and I think it is so important, especially in the service industry. I'm sure both me and you growing up, we were in the service industry.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're a waiter, waitress, cook, whatever. You're in the service industry. Worked at gas stations and stuff like that. And I tell you, the service industry is tough because you always need to smile, regardless if you're happy or not. And I
Right.
just want to share one more, one more relevance, at this trip. Like, we're at Cheesecake Factory. And, in the service industry, the better service you get, the better tips you get, right? Obviously. Right. So of course, like, the people are smiling, but you can tell it's a fake smile because only the mouth moves, but there's no smile in the eyes. You know what I'm saying, right? There's a lot of people
Yep.
that, yeah, right. And me and Minna says, look, we were determined to make our waitress smile, right? And then like at the very end, because we order, me and Minna, we always order more than we can eat. But at the very end, she's, holy crap, you guys like finish everything up. I was like, whoa, that's just us, just like came out of jail. We just basically made her smile, with like a true smile, the eye frown lines. And it's like, I think that's where we need to pass a little more of. Like you said, we all have light in us, right? To
Mhm.
pass on some of the light to lift up someone's day. You can't imagine how much that makes a difference in their life, because like in that day, that might be, wow, life isn't so sucky after all, right?
Yeah.
Thing as opposed to us staying down. Oh man, this job sucks. I'm not making enough money. The weather sucks. This guy's an a-hole. It's like you don't want to be dropping down the rabbit hole.
No, you don't. You don't. And recognizing, and in the service industry in today's day and age, you see several empty tables at the
Mhm.
restaurant, but they're still holding you back. They don't have the wait staff. They don't have the employees.
Yes,
So,
we saw that exactly.
so much falls on those
Yeah.
few people who do
Mhm.
show up to work,
Yes,
and they're getting the wrath for everyone. So kudos
exactly.
to if you're in the service industry, we thank you. We appreciate you. We are so sorry that others can't or won't understand that. Like, well, there's a table. You should be sitting me there. It's like, well, you can
Yes,
sit at that table and wait 20 minutes. You can sit out here and wait 20 minutes. Your expectations are going to be a lot less sitting here
yes.
than if you're sitting at a table and not being served. So,
Exactly, exactly. So
um,
true. I think that is a great way to say, like we honor all those that serving us because it's a job in service is not that easy to do, and like I said, to do it with a smile. I tell you, sometimes it may not be the easiest thing to do.
yeah, and then I'm gonna take it a little bit further, and we're gonna talk about our relationships,
Mhm.
and looking at our relationships as teachers and not being fixers. So
Okay.
every person we encounter, especially those in close relationships, it's like it's a soul contract,
Mm,
and they reflect back to us the work we're here to do, the healing that we're ready for, the version of ourselves that we are becoming. And so looking at why these people are in our lives. I was meeting with a friend and she was talking about a new relationship that she has. And her last relationship ended um, pretty abruptly. And she was really, really, really disappointed. And we had talked about that the last time we were together, and kind of talking about why do you keep attracting the same type of
mhm,
partner? Why do you keep attracting the same type of situation? And it's like, well, it's not because I'm here to fix everyone, because first of all, people aren't broken. We're not fixing
mhm,
them, but they're showing us what it is we need in ourselves. And so each one of these new connections brings up those old patterns. And if you did not address that pattern in that last relationship, you get to do it in this one. That's why those people are there, and those soul contracts. And there's different theories and opinions about soul contracts, but
mhm,
essentially it's the plan that as a soul before entering into our human experience, they're the things that we agreed to work on. And
mhm,
those are oftentimes shown to us big time in relationships. Sometimes it's because you feel you're committed to a relationship with an individual on whatever level that is, and they are reflecting back at you constantly. And so it's they talk about not getting rid of these people, but healing that part of yourself so that that law of attraction doesn't keep bringing to you those examples.
mhm,
You're
mhm,
not seeing it in yourself and you're not healing it. You're not making amends or clarifying and growing that part of you, then it's shown to you. And what better way than that relationship that you're seeing someone on a regular basis? So you kind of get forced into creating those new boundaries and those new standards or responses. And so it was interesting. I just had this conversation with her yesterday, which solidified the topic for today of, yeah, these mirrors that are around us. And if we are tired of having the same type of pattern, we have to do something inside us so that we're bringing other patterns to us. 'Cause there's always work to do. And that lesson isn't that you change the other person, but
mhm.
it's noticing what you're being invited to change in yourself.
That is amazing. It is really funny because a lot of people and just a quick plug for tonight, for our dating coach. But this is something that me and Minna live by, and we learned this long ago, from another person, another professional development, on relationships, right? And what you're saying here is so interesting and true about the mirror of yourself, right? So many people are looking for a good relationship, and she'll say, well, I want someone that's attractive, beautiful, funny, like my jokes and stuff like this. But then they're not looking in the mirror. Are you that type of person that attracts that?
Mhm.
Right. So I love what you say. If you look in the mirror, it's like there's some work you need to do, because the power of attraction works both ways. It's going to attract whatever you are, right? So if you look
Yeah.
at your reflection of yourself, if you are drunk, and you like being yelled at, guess what? That's what you're going to attract more of. You're going to attract another drunk, someone that's going to yell at you, right?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
if you're a person that is very nice and go all the way, you're gonna find someone that's gonna appreciate that, and they're gonna return that, because like you said, they are going to be a reflection of who you are, right? So I love what you say about the mirror work, because a lot of people, they look in the mirror and it's so superficial, right? But you have to
Yeah.
almost look in, like your soul journey. You almost have to look into your soul to see who you are under all this, right?
Right. And those mirror reflections, when someone writes out a list, I want a non-smoker, I want someone
Mhm.
that's funny. I want someone that's, can joke along. I want somebody that can fix a water leak.
Mhm.
Those are the parts of you don't have.
Mhm.
If I'm looking at someone to fix my plumbing, a leaky faucet or something, is because I don't know how to do it myself. That's why I'm
Right.
looking for it.
Correct, correct.
And so if you put it into that kind of thinking of, I'm looking for somebody to do this because I can't do it myself.
Mhm.
Think of those other personality traits. The personality traits you're looking for are the ones you're looking to develop in yourself. And when they turn, when I went through my healing and they had me write that list, and I thought, oh, I had Mr. Wonderful all picked out. And then it was like, no, honey, that doesn't have anything to do with the partner. That has
Yep.
to do with who you need to be.
You
That's
are.
that
Yes.
mirror that you need to be for yourself. And
Yes.
then when you are all of those things for yourself, maybe not the plumber part, but then you're going to attract that same vibration. Because if not, you're attracting the vibration of another person that needs the same healing you do.
Mhm.
And then as an empath, what do? We put all our needs on the back burner and we go take care of them and fix them. They don't
Yes.
need fixed. They don't want fixed. They're just a mirror for you.
Correct. That's amazing. I love
Yeah.
that.
So once you recognize that mirror, then you regain your power. So instead of reacting blindly to all of these things that upset you, you can pause and reflect and you can actually choose a response. When you see it as a mirror and you understand that the things that you are, especially if a relationship isn't the way you want it to be.
Mhm.
So when you're coming up with those things, I just really these key moments in this transformation come that you notice the emotion. You see what is it that you're feeling? What is it that feels icky or feels good? And I know we always talk about, what feels icky and what are you going to change? No, what feels good and what you're going to get
Mhm.
more about, and then when you've identified that emotion, what is it revealing about you? And when you figure that out, then you're going to respond with curiosity, not shame, because we do a lot of
Mhm.
shame and blame, especially in relationships, and not realizing that the energy we put out is the energy we're getting back. And so looking at that. And so then use that insight to really realign your energy, your boundaries, and your intentions.
I love that.
Yeah, because everything's feedback. The more
Mhm.
conscious you are of that mirror, the faster you're going to evolve. When you stop looking at it as that's their problem or I have a problem with this with them, and you look at how can I change, you're just really going to see a lot of change there.
I love that. It's like how can I change rather than like you said, how can I change them? That is the question that most people really don't ask themselves, right? Because they're frustrated with their partner. It's like, oh, you never listen. Well, maybe it's a change that you should change yourself before they start listening.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, to sum it up, the people in our life are a reflection,
Mhm.
and it's not a reflection of who they are, but who you are. And
Mhm.
as you start to see them as a reflection of yourself, then you can see the parts of you that are most ready to see that shift and to strengthen within yourself. So, the shadows, that's what needs healing. The
Mhm.
lights, that's where you're going to expand. Those patterns, that's the things that are repeating. And that potential, it's absolutely what's possible to get there. So, yeah, looking at other people as inspiring you. So,
Yes.
yeah. So stop reacting.
Mhm.
That's the biggest one. I can't say that loud enough. Stop reacting. You need to pause before you judge and ask, what is it that's being reflected here? Celebrate your triggers. When you get triggered, don't beat yourself up. Don't have shame. Look at it as that opportunity for growth. If I get
Mhm.
triggered, it's because something's going on here. Something needs attention. This is hopefully the little flag before it becomes the great big red flag there, you know? Admire consciously what you see in other people that you really what you want to bring more of into yourself. And then always choose that reflection, not the reaction. Just
Mhm.
always reflect on it, don't react on it. I think that that's one of those knee jerk reactions. And I think that, we've talked several times about being overwhelmed and not being
Mhm.
grounded and not having the gratitude. And when you throw all those things together and we're stressed and overwhelmed, a reaction is what we're bound to get. So,
Correct. I love
yeah.
that.
So, um, so so for healing stuff today, I think we need to look at removing what prevents us from witnessing that whole mirror. It's not just observing it, but it's and witnessing. And when I talk about witnessing, I'm meaning to really look at it all the way through, not
Mhm.
reacting, but looking at it and absorbing how it can come back to you. So I think that that's what's important is to witness this mirror. And so let's remove anything that prevents you from witnessing it. And let's remove what prevents you from taking action on your observations. We're going to remove the shame and the guilt and we're going to just really embrace our shadow and our light kind of
Mhm.
equally and find the placement for those. We'd like those with the forgiveness work involved because this is our theta healing part. So if you would like this, just say yes out loud. Say yes in the replays. Say it out loud. Type it in hashtag replay yes.
Yes.
All righty. That one feels like a big one. That feels like a really, really big shift to be able to step back and to witness it. And once you've witnessed it, you're going to be able to have that better game plan. You can identify it so much better. So awesome. So if you found something today that hit, definitely get in contact with me. You can go through amandabethhealing.com/linktree, get you to the right social platform, or you can also schedule a discovery call or look at the services that are available that I offer. So, and tonight, Andy, you were talking about Chronic Health Collective. Yeah. Leandra is awesome. This is gonna be fun tonight. So yeah, 7 o'clock Central Time here on Facebook and on YouTube, correct? And
Yep.
E360 TV.
Mhm.
7 p.m. Tune in. And if you're not able to catch it, there will be a replay as well available through YouTube and Facebook for a while. Yeah.
Yes, yes, until they delete it anyway. Right, so
Oh, getting these platforms. So yeah, if you have had a hopefully this has just been eye-opening that you're able to look at the people you come in contact with. There's no coincidences. Everyone is placed in your
Mhm.
life for a reason, for a season. It's just figuring it out and knowing how you can grow and expand and reflect that into yourself. So if you have ideas or something else you'd like me to cover, so maybe we're not quite so random, but I think it is important and it's timely that we really we take these clues and use them to grow and to develop ourselves as we heal and raise our vibrations.
I love it, I love it, and I think it'll be great for all your viewers out there to use us as the mirror today, if
Mhm.
if they are hitting a stumbling block or, they just need something to kickstart the afternoon to have a brighter day,
Yeah.
channel our light, our energy that we're emulating, and hopefully we can help uplift people's days today too.
Yes. If nothing else, you'll have a good laugh. Laughter is incredible medicine. So we'll see you all next week on Transformation Tuesday, live here on Facebook and LinkedIn. Catch the replays
Bye.
on YouTube. Bye bye.